I originally was a Marvel guy at one point, but that was largely due to the love I had and still have with Spider-Man as a character. But in terms of the comics and the overall style of storytelling, I was always leaned more towards DC. I really enjoy the escapist fun aspect of it, and because of that, I often find a lot of their stories to be more fascinating compared to Marvel's. So with that being said, let's talk about DC fandom. First off, I just want to say it was great. I really liked the Hall of Heroes ship. I thought that was a really interesting concept they had going on throughout the entire show. However, when it came to the panels, I was only interested in watching a few in particular, such as Zack Snyder's Justice League, Aquaman 2, and James Gunn's Suicide Squad. The panels showcasing Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League were cool, but being that I kinda already knew what to expect from these games, I wasn't really all that thrilled. However, I do like these games, and as crazy as this may sound, I'm actually more excited for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League than I am for Gotham Knights. Don't get me wrong, the concept of Gotham Knights is really interesting. I like that they're giving the spotlight over to Nightwing, Batgirl, and some of the other fellow Bat family members, but I honestly feel as though the concept of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is slightly more interesting to come across. Because, not only is Rocksteady making a video game about the Suicide Squad, a supervillain team that's usually not all that well versed or well known in superhero media, but they're also making, what seems to be them into the Justice League. Like they're making the Suicide Squad into the Justice League. They're essentially making them into the heroes by villainizing the Justice League and making Superman out to be what seems to be a murderer on screen, and therefore giving the Suicide Squad a legitimate reason to want to, kill the Justice League. But it's not just because of the plot though. It's also because of the fact that the squad, each member of the team is going to be given a special ability. Captain Boomerang, from what it seems like in the trailers, has been granted with some sort of speedster ability, but he's not exactly running fast like the Flash. He's more so just kind of booster running, so to speak. Because as he's running, he has some sort of blue energy light, coming from his body as he's running. And I'm not sure if that, indicates that he's been granted with some sort of power-up ability or something, but it looks pretty damn cool. Harley Quinn, I'm not sure I know what her special power is, or Deadshot's or King Shark's for that matter, but I do know that they're going to be given special treatment in this game, which is pretty fascinating to say the least. It's pretty fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to it. So there you go. Sorry for that long, drawn-out explanation of my thoughts behind the game, everyone. Hope I didn't lose you. It's just that I've been trying to get this video up since DC Fandom, and I haven't exactly, planned out a script, so I'm kind of just wording everything from my brain. Also, may I remind everyone that I also kind of want to take the time to start structuring my videos a bit more thoroughly and more professionally. So if I ever take any longer to upload, new videos onto my channel than expected, just know that it's because of that reason and that reason alone. Anyway, so another thing that I'm also excited for is Flash Season 7. I can't wait to see how Barry gets his powers back as the Flash. I cannot wait to see Iris West reunite with Barry Allen because they're like the heart of the show. But more importantly, I cannot wait to see the female version of Mirror Master back in action, because I originally used to think that she was kind of a whiny bitch at least in the first half of season 6, but towards the end she was a badass, and since then I've been wanting to see more of her, and we finally get to see that in season 7, which I'm psyched for. I noticed that a lot of people have kind of dropped this show the same way they did with Arrow because of the diversity. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I never really had an issue with the diversity, at least not as much as other people. Because diversity is kind of a thing that happens in every other TV show, if we're being honest. And I honestly feel like the kind of diversity that The Flash offers is really interesting and kind of builds upon Flash's character, as opposed to it all just being 100% all about him. And yeah, I know that the show does have its moments of going a bit overboard with the female politics and stuff like that, but I'm always willing to overlook that aspect of it and kind of pay more attention to the good stuff, because this show really does have a lot of good stuff in it that a lot of people somehow ignore and paint as bad. It's the same kind of argument I have towards Stephen Amell's Arrow. Apparently, people don't like the idea of Green Arrow being a dark, brooding vigilante. It's just like how people say that Superman being given a lot more depth and meaning under Zack Snyder's direction is more interesting. I say that Green Arrow being more brutal and aggressive against crime under Mark Guggenheim's direction is more interesting, and is what kind of makes his character stand out more, as opposed to him always just being a comedic side character. Because really, Green Arrow and Batman aren't all that different from each other. Yeah, they may be different by appearance, but they are not different by hero ideology. As for Shazam, I honestly don't really care about the second movie because I already wasn't a fan of the first movie. Even though Zachary Levi was pretty entertaining in the first movie, I just felt like the movie could have been better if done a little bit differently. I mean, the one thing I love about Aquaman so much is that it's kind of embracing the idea that it's not Marvel and that it's its own thing. And what it is an underwater sea adventure. And I am so glad to hear that, director James Wan is going to be building upon that in Aquaman 2 by exploring other places besides Atlantis. I'm really looking forward to that. But Shazam, on the other hand, kind of feels like Joss Whedon's Justice League all over again. And I honestly feel as though Shazam Fury of the Gods is going to be no different. But hopefully when I see some real trailer footage, my opinion might change. But until then, I'm not exactly holding my breath, and am more excited for Black Adam. The Black Adam trailer was freaking amazing. The story of what they're going for does seem pretty promising. Because not only are you going to be seeing Black Adam's origin story, but you're also going to be seeing the introduction of the Justice Society, which consists of characters like Hawkman, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, and one of my favorite DC characters of all time, Dr. Fate. So yeah, this movie has a really interesting premise, and I can't wait to see how it all looks after they start filming. I am so glad that The Rock is doing Black Adam, because at this point I feel like DC needs real star power to sell their characters on screen. I felt like them choosing Zachary Levi over John Cena to play as Shazam was a huge missed opportunity. And lately I've been hearing a lot of people say that Robert Pattinson is great in every movie role he stars in. Well, guess what? That same thing could also be said about John Cena, believe it or not. Because the thing about John Cena is he is an entertainer, and a really great one at that. Aside from being a cheesy Boy Scout in pro wrestling, he always has ways of entertaining the audiences with not only his mic skills, but his wicked personality and sense of humor that a lot of people seem to overlook and ignore somehow. Love him or hate him, he does have the potential to shine in a lot of movie roles. And with movies like Daddy's Home 2, Blockers, and Playing with Fire, it shows. I may not be a fan of John Cena as a wrestler, but that doesn't affect how the way I feel about him as an actor. He's a really great guy, and I think that Warner Brothers really needs to start utilizing him a bit more, as opposed to just having him play minor roles. But John Cena is going to be great as Peacemaker in Suicide Squad. I just think that Warner Brothers really needs to get better at marketing their movies, instead of just going for whatever they think works. Anyway, Suicide Squad is going to be lit, and James Gunn is going to kill it. Another thing that I'm also looking forward to is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I like how throughout the entire runtime of the trailer you hear the song Hallelujah, as in a way to say that this is the definitive Justice League. Because of course anyone who knows the Justice League knows that they are a badass superhero team. And I think the best way of representing that would be to play the song Hallelujah, as a remembrance of how great they are. Ever since this trailer came out, people have been harassing Zack Snyder on Twitter, saying that his movie feels exactly the same as Joss Whedon's Justice League, with the whole shots and cutscenes argument. And I honestly feel like those people don't really have a say in the matter, because all they're doing is just taking old arguments aimed at Zack Snyder's Justice League and using them as a springboard to further push across this narrative that it's illegal for Zack Snyder to continue his vision, which is pathetic. I may not agree with all of Zack Snyder's ideas. I may find some of his methods to be a bit out there, a bit unorthodox, if you will. But I still understand his need to want to make DC's characters shine from status quo. Because so far with Marvel, all we have ever gotten is straightforward status quo with Marvel's characters on screen, and nothing that actually feels groundbreaking or impactful. The closest that I think we have ever gotten to that really was with Thanos wiping out half the Avengers in Infinity War and walking out victorious. That was pretty cool. But then Endgame happened, and we pretty much ended up reverting back over to status quo again. with not only Sam Wilson taking Captain America's shield instead of Bucky, but Thor and Hulk being turned into stupid comic reliefs. That was annoying as fuck, and pretty challenging to sit through. And the movie being focused on two characters who have barely gotten any proper development since Phase 1. Yeah, this is a great film, everyone. The one thing that Warner Brothers is actually doing right by the audiences is that they're actually letting directors make good films. I mean, part of the reason why there's so much hype surrounding Zack Snyder and his cut of Justice League is because people want to see superhero films do more than offer up entertainment and a good laugh, but rather grow and inspire you as an individual. And I'm all for that kind of mindset. As for the other DC directors like Patty Jenkins and James Wan, I am excited for Wonder Woman 84. That movie is going to be lit, and I cannot wait to see what Aquaman 2 is going to be like. From what I heard, the director did say that the sequel is going to be a bit more adventurous. There's going to be a lot more world building, but what I'm excited for the most is to see Black Manta make his return, because his appearance in Aquaman 1 was epic. Plus, his suit design looks slick. A lot of people have been saying that it looks very comic accurate. Well, guess what? That is the same kind of opinion I have towards Harley Quinn's new character design in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. It looks 100% true to the character and is way better than the Birds of Prey one. Anyway, back to Black Manta. The suit isn't the only cool thing about his appearance in Aquaman 1. The actor who plays Black Manta, I forget his name, but he was freaking fantastic. Some people think that he should have been saved for Aquaman 2, but I disagree. I think that his appearance in Aquaman 1 was perfect. As for Matt Reeves' Batman, I gotta say, I was actually impressed by what I saw in the trailer. As you know, I have been vocally critical towards the idea of Robert Pattinson playing as Batman in the past. I have kind of said before that I think that Robert Pattinson is a weird casting choice for Batman, and I still think that now. Because when I think of Batman, I usually think of either Jon Hamm or Anson Mount. You know, guys who not only look the part of Bruce Wayne, but also look the part of Batman. And Robert Pattinson's not exactly on that list of guys who I would expect to see in the role. But after watching this trailer, I was actually able to get past that and pay more attention to some of the cool stuff that this trailer had to offer. Like that scene towards the end where Batman is knocking out what seems to be one of Joker's goons on screen was really incredible. This movie definitely has a dark tone to it. Some people say that Matt Reeves went a bit overboard with the dark tone, but I disagree. I think the dark tone is perfectly in line with the character in this film. Also, I don't know why people had a problem with Robert Pattinson staring down and looking fierce on screen, because that's essentially what Batman does in every single adaptation. So therefore, I don't understand that criticism. If I were to have any real criticism about the teaser trailer, it's that Robert Pattinson looked way too skinny in the role of Batman. I get that Matt Reeves wants to have this Batman look real young on screen, but I personally prefer the more muscular Batman. Because, you know, I grew up loving that Batman a lot. And we actually got that version of Batman with Zack Snyder, but then he started having him kill criminals, you know, and it just turned me off and really made me felt like this is not our true Batman, and this was supposed to be the definitive Batman, but we didn't get that. So therefore, I'm still waiting for the definitive Batman to be brought to us on screen. And that's not to say I don't approve of different takes. I just feel as though that's all we have ever been getting with the character of Batman as far as movies go. Like, just once, I would love to see a Batman movie do more than just go in a certain direction with the character. I mean, don't get me wrong, the detective side of Batman is great. But I think it would be even greater to see many of the other aspects of his character be established in the same film. Because the Batman character is more than just one layer, and I think seeing a Batman movie fully embrace that would be really awesome. But the overall concept of what Matt Reeves is going for looks pretty cool. It looks like a pretty decent piece of fan fiction, to say the least, and I honestly do look forward to seeing it. However, what I am looking forward to the most is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, because not only do the characters look wildly fantastic, but just the overall style of this movie is aesthetically beautiful and is pure eye candy. Sure, it may be campy and wacky as hell, but that's kind of the point, is that it's not trying to be as serious and realistic as Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Because sometimes the serious and realistic take can be pretty overwhelming, especially if that's the focal point of every movie going forward. The DCU, at least in terms of the early movies, does seem like it needs a bit more personality. And James Gunn's The Suicide Squad definitely looks like it's a better example. Anyways, that's it folks. I'm King Bishop. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye bye.